You are listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. Thank you for downloading and subscribing. Coming to you virtually live from high atop the historic Raleigh building in beautiful downtown Raleigh. Our featured spirit of the week is Fair Game Beverage from Pittsboro, heart of Chatham County's beverage district. If you're looking for a small batch, handcrafted organic spirit, you're in the right place. Check them out online at fairgamebeverage.com and on social at fairgamebevco. Brought to you by Key City Spirits, brand ambassadors providing North Carolina distilleries with marketing, design, and social media services. KeyCitySpirits.com. And now, the misfits in the dish pit, the faces of the front. They are Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I'm your co-host, Matthew Weiss. And today we have some neighbors right in town from the historic building and restaurant of the Second Empire. We have the chef, Mr. Daniel Schurr. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome. Very good.
Great.
Also, you brought along a compadre here, your longtime bartender and third most important reason to visit Raleigh, Mr. Sam Cohn.
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Yeah, we're like, Sam, why are you here? What's going on?
He's the third most important reason to visit Raleigh.
Right. So, now that that's covered.
Yeah.
That's formally.
Formally.
Formally, yeah.
Circa, what was that, like
Maybe
19?
a year ago, I
Oh,
guess.
a year ago. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we're relatively
He does cameo
recent.
appearances.
Okay, awesome.
So, Chef Schurr, because we've been discussing food and beverage with so many different people around the state, but of course we're here located in Raleigh, having you on the show definitely puts in perspective just the culinary scene in so many ways, because you have been here for a time, for a good while. I'm not trying to date you or anything.
No, that's fine. I get dated all the time. Yep. Yep.
Does your wife know about that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. For those that don't know, Second Empire down here in downtown Raleigh is kind of one of a few breed of fine dining establishments that exist out here that is really doing it at a very high level and has been doing it for a long time with all of this change and fluctuation that's happened through the food and beverage industry over the last, say, 5-10 years.
Right.
Second Empire has maintained this position of excellence downtown.
Well, thank you.
So it's an honor to have you in studio.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks. That means a lot.
So,
Yeah.
fine dining. Why? What's up? Why are you doing that?
No one else is.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. And we've been doing it for 23 years. And it's something that there's a big pie in the sky.
Right.
And we chose to do that.
Yeah.
That chose to be our thing.
Take us back in the time machine 23 years ago. So you came down here, you were working in Philadelphia
Right.
at the Four Seasons,
Right.
French trained.
Right.
And then you come down here to work at the Angus Barn?
Yep.
Is that, did the job brought you down or you
Yeah.
wanted to, okay.
Well, started family.
Yeah.
You know, I was married and wanted to have children. And Philadelphia was a big city, and I was kind of tired of
Expensive.
it. Yeah, expensive and just kind of hard to live there.
Yeah.
So I grew up in North Carolina. I grew up in Liberty, North Carolina, a little small town right outside of Greensboro, and wanted to come back south. So Angus Barn kind of got me back south, and I worked there for about 10 months. And then the opportunity arose to become partners with Mr. Reynolds, who had bought the real estate. And the rest is kind of history. I mean,
How'd you meet Tim Reynolds?
Ted.
Ted, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Tim Reynolds plays guitar with Dave Matthews.
That's what I was thinking about, yeah.
We met on a phone call, and then we met down in the basement / where the tavern is now.
Right.
And we talked and kind of shook hands, and a couple weeks later, we were partners.
Wow, that's a lot. It's a very famous house, the Second
Yep.
Empire, and you were even showing on our map that we have here in the kitchen studios of old downtown Raleigh from, what is that, 1872?
1879.
1879. Well, the Dodd Hinsdale house was
Right.
started in 1879, right? But
right.
but that map is actually 1872, which doesn't make sense then because then the house is on that.
Yeah. Weird.
Uh-oh. We got to go fact checker on that one. but yeah, so it's this historic house, this historic setting. I don't even, because you were doing the cellar table at
Right.
Angus Barn, right? So
Yeah.
is that how Ted found you? Kind of ate your food there?
Well, small town still, 20 years ago, people
Yeah.
talking and kind of put the word out. It's really interesting that when I was a kid and I would go to the beach, we would go through Pittsburgh, go through Raleigh, and I would go by that house on the way to the beach, never knowing that I'd be working in there. And always always go by that house like, wow, it's a really cool house. But it looked like the Addams Family house at the time. So
to paint the picture. So for those that don't know, describe this house.
Well, the house stayed vacant for 20 years, and there was a lot of. I mean, we have customers that come in that went to state that would jump the fence and party in the house.
At NC State,
And now they come in for dinner with their kids. And they want to show their kids where they partied in the house.
This is where I threw up.
That's right,
Johnny.
exactly. It's really wild how the history, but kind of giving you an example of like the history. It's just been this house in Raleigh for so many years. But Ted and his daughter Kim decided to buy the real estate and turn it into a restaurant, and they needed a chef.
Right.
So,
and did they offer you ownership right away, or did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big investment.
Well, they
but your resume was good enough. Was certainly good enough to be an executive chef at that time. But to give someone ownership, I'm just thinking strategically. That's also an important thing to think. Okay, well, this person is taking quote unquote ownership, but really taking ownership of this place.
Yeah, lots of heart to heart conversations with Ted and Kim, and it's what I wanted to do. I never. I wasn't the guy that wanted to have multiple restaurants and
like an empire.
Yeah,
pun intended.
Yeah, and I wanted to make one thing and make it great.
Yeah, but I gotta think like that's really a smart move as an owner, as Ted to say, okay, we want to build this, but we want the person that's going to be creating the product to be just as vested in it as we are.
Yeah.
And then it creates this consistency, too. I mean, you have been the chef for the last 20 years. It's not like an open swinging door of new chefs coming through and then changing the idea of what it is.
Yeah,
it's your brainchild.
Right. And, it's when you look at it from that perspective, it's a kind of a deep thing, Right.
So,
yeah.
And I guess maybe that answer is also because I've been wondering, as Max said, this is an historic property.
Yep.
Your food has been lauded by News and Observer and local papers.
Right.
But as you said to me out there, which I disagree, if you saw this guy, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that dude's a cool chef. Like, he's got the tats and he's got the cool Anderson Cooper hair.
Can I say, for those listening right now, let me paint the picture. If you watched Mad Men, John Slattery.
Oh, yeah.
The silver fox over there. I'd see a lot
taller
of,
though, better shape.
Yeah. Well, according to his bio, a handsome 6'3" athletic male, Daniel studied his work ethic by excelling in basketball and baseball. Quite the jock over here.
That was a long time ago.
I bet you, we need a ringer on my softball team. So let me know if you're interested.
Yeah, now I just ride a mountain bike. So.
Okay, that's pretty good too.
Yep.
But where I was getting at is, in this day and age, chefs have been at the front and center, media darlings, kind of celebrities in their own right.
Right.
You have not really taken that path.
No.
That seems to be like a decided move. It's purposeful. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, why don't you want people to know who you are? And why are you even on this podcast?
Whoa.
Silence hits the room. Sam told him to get over here.
Yeah.
No, but actually, that's the part of it. You're a person that avoids the media kind of intentionally, but I'd like to know why.
Yeah. Well, personal time. I put my heart and soul into the restaurant, and I'm much more than like the chef there. So I do the beverage as well.
Yeah, I'm going to get into wine a little bit.
Yeah, along with Ashley. She's my partner in crime with doing the wine list and the beverage list and things like that. But I also wear HR hat, so I do a lot of personnel kind of hiring, firing, management stuff as well.
Fun times.
The fun stuff of running a business. And then, Kim takes care of my business partner. She takes care of sort of marketing, things like that. So by the end of the week, I'm pretty spent. I used to do a lot more events and things like that, but it just, moved down south to have a family. Mm-hmm. And my family history is one of divorce and things like that. So I did not want that.
Yeah.
And
So
I wanted to kind of break the chain, if you will. And I wanted to have a happy marriage and have kids. And so you have to kind of juggle the time and have balance in your life. So
yeah. And that
some of that you had to cut out. So
Sure.
that's what I had to do.
and that's awesome and commendable. I mean,
Yeah.
Max and I are both family men, so and they
it's
come
just,
first.
It's tough.
I'm curious though. Does it bother you at all, or like? And it's hard to say publicly, but like when your contemporaries have been really like on a national schedule. You know, you look at the Ben Barkers who opened
Yeah.
up Magnolia Grill around the same time. Andrea Rusing, Scott Howell, and
Yeah.
Well, Ashley Christensen, let's
well,
say.
but
She's
Ashley's not
a
really
little
contemporary.
younger.
It's more modern age. But that's enough of a like because they've all been on a national level recognized. Does it like stick in your craw a little bit? I mean,
At times.
yeah, okay,
At times.
That's a fair answer.
But I'm still here.
yeah,
I'm still cooking.
Yeah. So, okay.
It's a lifelong journey.
Right.
You know, to be a chef, to be in the chefdom is a lifelong journey. That's what I chose to do for a career.
Yeah.
And to be here, I plan on cooking when I'm 70. You know, I just love it.
Yeah.
And I love to teach. So I love to mentor and teach people and things like that. So
Well, you're
Nice.
no dummy, and you've kind of figured out a way to effectively work there. So, what is like a typical work schedule for you now? Like, how early do you get to work, and how late do you stay?
gosh, it really just depends on what's going on.
Yeah.
So I mean, on a typical work day, I'm usually there by 11, and usually out
sleep in a little bit. Yeah.
go ride my bike in the morning.
Yeah.
The kids are grown now, so they're in college, and my wife, she has a job that she works at, so I have the mornings pretty much available to take care of phone calls and sort of business stuff, and then get on my bike and ride for a couple hours, and then go head in, clear my mind.
That's cool.
And
kind of zen-ish.
yeah, and then head in and get busy. You know, whether it's cooking or HR stuff or repairs on the house or stuff like that.
Now, what does it mean in the kitchen at this point, too? I mean, we've actually had this conversation with people on probably more like Facebook interactions and all, but talking about a chef that, say, has a team that effectively does all the cooking, but then they, monitor it. Somebody had once said, like, well, should that chef get any credit for, like, being an actual chef there? And to which I responded, hell yeah, like, the chef that can actually not cook anymore because they can teach a team to cook their food is the best chef.
Yeah.
That's the one that I figure is the most accomplished.
Yeah.
That somebody else can play your songs, basically.
Yeah.
And,
I have both of that, but I'm a firm believer in having my hands on it still. So I'm a working chef.
You're on the line.
I'm on the line every night.
Wow.
And I love it. And it gives me opportunity to kind of sort of be in control as far as like timing of tables, VIPs that are coming in, teaching, critiquing. I used to expedite a lot out front. And
that means like coordination of
coordination,
where the plates go to the restaurant.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard to talk about it without being in it right now. But so, and then that would stress me out more. So, so I chose a couple of years ago to get back behind the line.
Yeah.
And actually physically, cook and have my hands in it. And it took away, it made it a little bit more calm.
Yeah.
Because I could be there while it's happening.
Well, so I worked for Wolfgang Puck for about 5.5 years, and there was a time where he had a big meeting. We all were invited. We were sitting there, and he goes, I've decided to no longer be the CEO of my own company. I realize that the reason why we're all here and the reason why there's success here is because I'm a chef, and I cook, and I develop restaurants. I am not the financial CEO of this place, and I shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to no longer be that person. I'm going to continue to be a chef and open up new restaurants and cook on the line and teach and all that. And so he pulled back and he did that because he's like, I didn't go to school so that I could be a financial person. I went to school to be a chef. So I kind of like, you're saying that, you're like, I own this business, I run this business, but I'm doing what I've always wanted to do.
And it's exactly right. So, you have two parts. You have the front of the house, and I have great managers that operate, and I'm involved with them. But, I learned a long time ago when I opened up I was that young chef and wanted to be, just
everything. Yeah.
And you can't. And so I had to pull back and develop the staff to do what I wanted them to do. And I got more involved with the front of the house because you can be the best chef in the world and cook the best food, but you guys know that the front of the house makes or breaks it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're the ambassadors of what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
And they're touching every customer. They're carrying out the plates. So I work long hours with my staff in training, whether it's wine training, the food, the menus, the ingredients. I put a lot of pressure on them.
Do you make sure that they serve from the left and move from the right?
Just all that stuff, all the stuff,
so
that they smile,
yeah,
and that the customers feel their gratitude. I mean, it's so important.
When you walk onto the floor of the restaurant, you are on stage, and you have to be smiling.
It's the Lion King every night.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like you're presenting, presenting the dish.
That's the analogy that I use all the time is the play The Lion King. If you've ever gone to see it, it's been running since we've been opening up the restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's still going. It may have different actors.
Right.
But it's just consistently the number one show on Broadway.
Intense and it's crazy. And
but everybody knows their part.
Yeah.
Everybody sings. If they have a bad day, they're still singing.
So, I love that.
Yeah.
Because that can sink a ship real fast. Bad service can ruin great food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? That should be on a T-shirt.
No, I don't know. Was I reading an article or listening to a podcast the other day, but it was basically saying the fact that you can have a restaurant with okay food, but the service brings you back.
Yes.
Basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and just to test, it was really, I can't remember who it was, but it was really highbrow food people that were attesting to the prowess of the front of the house.
If you're not paying attention to that, then you're lost as a chef or a restaurant owner or something like that. I mean, you can have the best food, but your wait staff can cancel it all out.
And so I guess that's
bartender too.
Well, yeah. I guess that's
Keep
why
it
you
down,
do HR as well, because you need to keep them happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a matter of training and keeping them enthused and capturing. Let's face it, most of the staff is in their 20s,
right?
So 23 to 28, 30, capturing their attention for 6 hours and getting them to focus on. This is what we do.
Yeah, why should I care if I'm 23 years old? Well, this is why.
Right, and this is why.
Yeah.
And this is why you're working here. You chose to work here.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you to come, you came.
This isn't slave labor here.
Right. Yeah.
You're making good money.
You're going to make good money.
I worked with a guy that worked at Second Empire for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe I'd give him a shout out. Maybe you'll remember him. Do you remember a John Penrose?
Yeah.
John,
wow.
He is a man amongst boys as a server. He's one of the best servers I've ever worked with.
Wow.
That guy, his intensity and his positivity are second to none.
Yeah.
But he would tell tale, if I ever asked him when I was at Midtown Grill as the GM and he was working with me, to do something on a fine dining scale, he's like, yeah, well, bro, we used to do that at Second Empire. It's no big deal. And would always reference yeah, I got this. But he was our best server. No offense to everyone else that worked there, but
he's great.
John was the guy.
Yeah, it's important.
Well, I want to get into the food that you do there.
Okay.
You've been in business now 22 years. How has your menu evolved since you started?
Oh, wow. You told me you weren't going to ask me all these hard questions.
No, I didn't. I said I was going to ask you the hardest questions.
That's right. How has it evolved? 20 years ago, I was classically trained as a French cook. Nobody wants to be a cook anymore. Everybody's a chef.
Chef, yeah.
Right.
So when I was a cook, I trained at Four Seasons for 8 years, classically French trained. When I say classic, just how do you use the ingredients? What's your philosophy, the freshness, the presentation, things like that. That hasn't really changed for me. Mm-hmm. So it's still being what are some trends, maybe going that direction, but still focusing on what the protein is going to be, and then seasonal, and then working around that dish. So farm to table, I never really knew what that stood for, because as a French cook, that was something that it was already automatically we were doing already. So, when I opened up the restaurant, people were coming to me and I can do this, I can do that, I can bring you this. And I was like, bring it.
Sure.
But it wasn't anything that I wasn't kind of used to using. I mean, I was already used to using it,
There wasn't stuff though, like, because now not only we farm to table, but we're hyper local. So
Yeah.
has that changed for you at all? Like
Yeah.
stuff that you liked, let's say you were bringing in produce from California that you really liked, and now that's changed for you, or maybe you've kept that the same.
No, I can bring local produce in, but what is difficult for me is the volume that I do it at.
Yeah.
So I probably drive some of the local people kind of crazy because I'm like, no, I need more. No, I need more.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I can't give it to you more. I can't. I can only be here on Tuesdays. And so it's kind of sometimes it's difficult for me to work around their schedule. So I try to incorporate wherever I can.
Right.
Because I'm a fairly big restaurant, and I'm blessed to be sort of busy, and so I plow through the food.
Yeah.
But what's changed is that I do have a lot more availability of local ingredients. It's easier. It's getting easier for me to get my hands on it than it was before. But my my focus has always been on, kind of my artistic, ability to create plates. Texture, acidity, those things that are I'm always kind of balancing those two on the plate. But
A lot of people say, well, actually, I don't know if I know this before Max really had brought it up, but when they went to France, I never thought about it really this way, but you're saying like French typically don't use acid in their food.
well, it kind of depends. So
Maybe not the
if
way. Like I was making that reference in that Latino food versus French food. The biggest separator is acid. I would say. Like,
Yeah.
you use a lot of acid in Latin food,
Or even Asian food as well.
yeah.
I
But I think
think-
it's like equator. Like the closer to the equator, you use more acid.
So, with that said, Provence, the Mediterranean sort of,
Yeah.
that's really what I focus on.
Gotcha.
And that's what I've been trained in.
Okay.
So those kinds of Provences of France are what I kind of focus on.
Yeah, more Mediterranean influence
Yeah,
stuff.
with some incorporation of local ingredients. I mean, collard greens. I mean, they're on my menu. Grits or just stuff like that.
Yeah. You
Summertime.
can't get away from grits if you live out here.
Yeah,
And why would you want to?
Right, and you've got to incorporate them somehow. So, taking those southern ingredients and kind of putting a little twist on them.
What about taking chances on food? Taking chances on dishes that you're
all
not
the
sure.
time.
Yeah.
all the time. So, yeah, and sometimes it's not very popular.
Right.
I get accused of having too many ingredients on the plate.
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, not everybody's going to like your food. I mean, as a chef, you got to learn that early.
That was one critique of Greg Cox early
Yeah.
on, I think,
Yeah.
and like what you were open for maybe 4 years at
Yeah.
the time, and he was saying in this one dish you went a little bit too far.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got an opinion, so you got to be
Right.
able. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't bother me.
Has it changed for you being now in the same place? Because you've been in the same kitchen, the same place for 22
Yeah.
years. You're, of course, a classicist and you like to do things, a
Right.
certain way. But
Yep.
I would imagine sometimes like things pull at your creative strings and say, I gotta try this. I got to put this on. And then maybe
Yeah.
sometimes is there any example where you put it on
Well-
or like really didn't work?
So, wow, can't really remember.
It's like, no,
But-
everything I do is.
no, that's not true. But
Maybe we should be asking Sam this question. Over
Oh,
there.
yeah.
When were you in lineup? And he's like, "Guess what, boys? We're doing the short rib, or the McRib. I'm sorry, we're gonna do the McRib version tonight." And you're like,
Well,
chef.
usually we have to take the short rib off because too many people order it. So
Right.
he's
So-
burning through the short ribs
Yeah.
on the
So
on the
yeah,
menu.
so I did a short rib. So I took the short rib and I pulled it all apart and I folded in some pork belly and some foie gras to it and some goodies, and then I shaped it and then I breaded it and then I fried it, and then people were like, "What
what?
are you doing?"
Yeah.
Where's my just the short rib?
Yeah.
I said it's in there, man. Just try
Sounds
it.
like
Right.
a Scotch egg type of thing.
I mean,
Not,
yeah,
but
in a way
Yeah.
it was, but so I tried to do a little twist on that. I mean, a lot of people liked it, but then there was the purists that are like, "Nah, man,
Give
can't
me
do
my
that.
short rib."
That's not a short
Give me,
rib.
I want to see a short rib on the plate." So
Yeah.
that's kind of an example. So Charlie Palmer of Oriel in New York.
Yeah.
So he was a big mentor of mine. One of his quotes in one of his books, his first book, was, if you're going to put something on the menu, make sure you can taste it and see it. So on the menus, I sign everybody's congratulation menu or happy birthday, anniversary menu. I put a hand signature on it. Taste with your eyes. So
That's what you write on.
that's what I write on every menu.
Nice.
And it's so true. Because when you think about it and you get something in front of you, the first thing you do is you look at it.
Right.
You don't smell it. You don't touch it. You look at it.
Yeah.
So you taste it with your eyes first, and then
get into it.
Then it better be good, you know.
Right.
So, but literally, you taste it with your eyes first. So going back to your comment, if it looks a little crazy, people are probably going to think it's a little crazy when it comes to the table,
Right?
You know, so.
But what do you mean people are weird about the touching things of steak? Like,
It's
because
weird.
people like their steak and mashed potatoes like mushed together, and you're like,
No,
I get it.
but they still don't want the steak on top of the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, so like sometimes, you know, I'll do a presentation where I'll stack things. I'm a big stacker.
Okay.
So it'll, you know, not as tall as I can get with getting it to the table without falling over. That's what I'm going for. So it'll come to the table and the people bring it back. My food runners will bring it back. And they're like, Chef, they don't want anything touching. They want to separate it, you know, cafeteria style.
yeah, I was going to
So-
say, what are we going to serve? TV dinners or
Yeah,
bento
man.
boxes?
Bento boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird like that. So
Yeah,
I'm
sauce
fine.
too, though. People, will get a steak with sauce on it, and they're just like, I just wanted salt.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. So you just kind of learn those things over the years, and you know, like, don't let anything bother you. You know, if somebody wants their tuna well done, man, they're paying for it.
Yeah.
Tuna well
Give
done.
it to
I'm not the chef that's going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I am not cooking that thing that way.
What do you do when vegans walk in?
I love it. I go off.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have.
That's not the answer I was expecting.
No, I love it. I love any kind of dietary restriction because it's really a challenge for me and my staff. So I have so many vegetables on the menu that I can just. I mean, if a vegan walks in my door, man, they're in heaven,
That's good to
that's
know.
what they say.
Yeah.
So I have all kinds of starches that have been kind of cooked in water, not chicken stock or things like that I can manipulate into a wonderful array of vegetables and things like that.
That's
That's
awesome.
that's his station, too. That he
That's
works.
that's the station that I work.
You cook
actually,
veg?
I cook the veg.
Oh, nice.
I do kiddie meals too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait,
pasta
for,
and butter.
for your cats?
No,
Oh,
Like for
kids.
for the kids,
Little
for the
goats?
kids.
Is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, little goats. Exactly.
pasta and
Yeah. The
butter.
little goats of the world. So
come to eat it
when
at
mom and
7:05.
dad have their night out and they have to bring the kids and
Yeah.
they want food, bring it on.
I love that.
That is one of the great things about North Carolina is
Yeah.
the fact that you, at a white tablecloth restaurant, can bring your kids,
Yeah.
and nobody really looks at you sideways when your kids are kind of acting
Right.
up or maybe
Right.
even throwing a tantrum or running around.
We'll move you. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're having a hard time looking at the kids, my manager Nicole, she'll come over and say, "Hey, we'll move you if you're having a hard time with it." So,
Yeah.
and usually people are cool.
What's on the kiddie menu, by the way?
Man, whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a kiddie menu, but it was nothing that they wanted. So the wait staff were like, "What do you want?" You know, like pick something. So
Nice.
Yeah.
anywhere
that's kinda
from
cool.
chicken tenders to pastas to stir fries. Yeah, grilled cheese. I've done grilled cheeses. Yeah.
Omelets.
My daughter
I'll do
Charlotte,
an omelet. Yeah.
she eats in a color spectrum from white to beige. That's the color of the food that she likes to eat.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it could be an egg white, it could be pasta, it could be cheese, but don't put anything red, green, blue, purple on her plate. It will not be.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so we hook it up. We hook it
figure
up
it
whatever
out.
it is.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. That's the challenge of having a restaurant.
Right.
You know, not just a restaurant where you're not going to serve the people.
Yeah.
You
That
know what I'm saying?
that is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want people to come to your establishment
Yes.
to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to. I want to be kind of pointed on this one topic because we do have a fine dining chef at our table,
Right.
and we have done. I mean, Matt, we've done 200 episodes, let's say, roughly.
Roughly,
Like,
yeah.
You know, fine dining is kind of a lost art.
It is.
in this
Absolutely.
this design, and you know, for me, like as a front of the house person, I always tell anyone that I'm training or hiring, whatever, I said, look, we may not be fine dining, but it does not mean that we do not understand what fine dining service is. So we are going to pretend as much as possible that we are a fine dining restaurant.
Right.
The point I'm making is that we haven't really had a fine dining chef sit here and talk to us. Like, your expectation from the audience is so high.
Right.
Like, we're going to go to Second Empire, impress us.
Right.
So, for one, like, why did you even decide to do this? Like, that's a crazy thing just to be, like, putting yourself at that high regard. But also, how do you continually keep up, like, this really high level of expectation?
Well, when you walk into the house, and you see the house, it's Second Empire Victorian architecture. That's how we got the name.
Mm-hmm.
But when you walk in there, it kind of presents itself to be that. And it's an expensive venture to do it all the way. White tablecloths, you know how much linen bill is.
Oh, my God.
Linen bill is crazy.
Alsco?
No, Tar Heel. Yeah. So, and to
not
keep
sponsored. Not sponsored.
Oh, that's right. Well,
But could be.
Never mind. I was just kidding. No, you're right.
Alsco.
Give me a break. But it's the mindset of when people walk in here, their expectation of what they're going to see. Why did I choose to do it? Once again, it is a piece of the pie. No one was doing that, and the house needed to be that.
Yeah.
Then my commitment was that's all I've ever done. I've only been in fine dining all my career, whether it was when I was a young cook all the way through. When I got out of the culinary, went to the Four Seasons. I mean, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I was very passionate about it and didn't want to change that. I'm dating myself again, but I'm kind of older. And that's, my parents were people that, traveled, and that's what they exposed my sister and I to.
Yeah.
It's what I was used to. So I think that it's I even like the fact now that it's kind of dying out, and we're going to be, one of a few fine dining restaurants around.
That's been my thought of lately is that nobody wants to go to fine dining except when they do. You know, so you always need like one or two or three like really good ones, because if they do it right, like you will be a staple of the community that let's go back there, because a lot of people want to dine casually, but then there are those, let's have a nice dinner. Let's really sit down and dine.
You hit it right on the head. So I walked out to the front last week, and my hygienist was having dinner with her fiance, her fiance, excuse me. And she came over to me. She says, "I didn't know you knew I was here." And I was like, "I really didn't." She said, we just happened we just happened to meet at the host stand. And so she was like, "I just love coming in here because it's so quiet, and we can have a conversation, and we can talk, and we can just talk about stuff, with my fiance." And I was like, "Nailed it." Yeah. So we have our tables are spaced. You're not all bunched up on each other. Yeah. You can have you can have a romantic conversation. You can have a business dinner without a bunch of, noise happening and stuff like that. So that was all part of the design. Yeah. Is that people could come in and really have a fine dining meal, because there's much more to it than just the food. Right. Right. There's so much more to it than just the cooking part of it.
Well, and one thing that to kind of go on that is the way the restaurant's set up. You have the upstairs main dining room, which is traditionally, was a more, the fine dining atmosphere, where it's, kind of a more elegant dining atmosphere. And then you also have the downstairs tavern area, which is, the brick and mortar kind of area, where it's more of a casual, relaxed kind of thing, where if you don't want to throw on a sport coat and dress up, you're much more at home down there. So really, even though it's fine dining, you're getting the same food and the same great service everywhere in the restaurant. It just kind of depends on the ambiance that you're looking for as far as, what's going on. So you definitely have the people that want to sit upstairs and they're dressed nice and all that kind of stuff in the fine dining atmosphere. But then you can go down into the tavern and have the same experience, but it's a different it's a different feel.
And that's the brilliance of what you guys have done, really. Yeah. And thank you for that, Tim. I thought you were sleeping over there, but I'm glad you perked up. No, but another thing in aspect of fine dining, and you were just about to say it's not just the food. Yeah. And so I want to talk about wine. Yep. And before, to kick off about wine, I want to talk about our other sponsor, the Triangle Wine Company, who we were talking about before, has 4 locations, one in Morrisville, a new one in Holly Springs, their kind of flagship store that's out in Cary, right next to the Whole Foods, and then they also have one way out in Southern Pines, so if you're going golfing at Pinehurst pick up your all your beverage needs.
Yeah, there's some
at,
bottles of wine in your bag.
Yeah, or all these great canned wines now, which you maybe would see more in the tavern. Throw those in your bag while you're on the golf course, and they will treat you well.
Oh, yeah. Go to trianglewineco.com, use NCFB as a promo code, and maybe we'll help you save some money when you're buying their stuff. That would be cool.
Yeah. So, but seriously about the wine aspect, I know you finished first in your culinary school class up at Hyde Park, but in your CIA.
Yep.
They do some wine education up there, but they don't really set you up, from what I understand, to really be a wine buyer. So why did you want to take that on, and kind of what's your philosophy for the wine program there?
So when we first opened up, we had a sommelier, Jen Kuhn, who some of you might know, but she's kind of a local wine person. I'm pretty sure she's out there somewhere still doing the wine thing. But anyways, so she left after a couple of years. And then it was kind of like one of those moments of, and I had things kind of in the grasp in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. So just like you said, yes, I had gone through this experience at the culinary, but never had the opportunity to dive into it. And it was really something that I wanted to take on because the lack of knowledge was there for me. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to train myself in that. I mean, it's a never ending kind of thing, anyways, that I've figured out. But so I took it on. Yeah. So that was quite a challenge for me because of dealing with all the vendors and all the sales people. And it was kind of
those damn wine salespeople.
Well, there's a lot of them.
And they always seem to get them at the wrong time when they're coming in at like 2 when he's getting ready for service.
So I had to kind of figure out. I had a couple of good reps that really schooled me on the art of buying wine, putting together a wine list, what I really needed to focus on, what a reserve list was all about, and I figured it out pretty quickly. How I wanted to go about it, and I wanted to sell the wine, not have wines that were just going to kind of sit
and take
on
up
the
space
shelf.
in your restaurant.
Yeah, and so then I got into buying the boutique wines from all over. Wines with a story, low yields, low production, kind of just special wines with a story. And then I've my wines by the glass. I kind of figured out what the kind of the deal is with that is. Buy a wine cheap and sell it for a good by the glass price. And then I was like, wait a minute, I didn't feel good about that, and so I really wanted to buy wines at an affordable price for me, but then turn people on by the glass. So my by the glass, I probably have 12 to 15 whites and 12 to 15 reds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are they all the same for upstairs to downstairs to the bar?
Okay. Yeah. So the wine list is the same throughout the house. So I really wanted to turn people on to something unusual by the glass. And now with Corvin, you can really, kind of do anything you want. So
Corvin's it's
gas.
a needle that goes inside of the cork and basically allows you to take wine out of a bottle without uncorking it.
Right.
Also not a sponsor of the show.
Also not a sponsor. Don't buy Corbin until they sponsor us. And then Corbin, fantastic.
Yeah.
Sure they
go to Corbin.com only after they pay us.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's kind of like been the kind of evolution of the wine. And I couldn't do it and then after a couple of years, I learned that I couldn't really do it myself and do a good job at it
and keep up with the trends and
and just all the tasting that goes into it and then we print everything in house, so printing a menu, vintage changes, you're out of this wine. It's real a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, that's why people have beverage managers and beverage professionals.
Ashley, who's been with me for 4 or 5 years now, she's been doing that part of it, so she does everything. Besides, we both collaborate on tasting on the wines. They come into the kitchen, we taste in the kitchen, and make those decisions there because there's the food. So, but Ashley does all the hard work about it.
Yeah. What? Just curious, and indulge me for a second. This is kind of like selfishly in my own head, but when you buy, do you buy really with the idea of I'm only buying wines that match the food, or am I buying wines that are somewhat, again, what the consumer is, the guest is looking for, or an amalgamation of both?
Both. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
or do you buy wine that you're like, oh my God, I've never tried this before. I need to make food that would pair to that. Have you ever done
yes.
that?
Yeah, I've done it all. I've been. Wine is a weird thing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not a big drinker. So
you've already had 3 fair games. We are drinking fair game. It's at the top of the sponsor. It just kind of happened to work that way. But
man, this stuff is good. Stop by the restaurant.
Yeah, we're drinking some fair game apple brandy right now, which is delicious.
We speak it, we live it.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, wine's weird because you can wine can be brought to you and it goes into the glass. You swirl it and then you taste it and you're like, wow, that is really good. I mean, it does something to your brain.
Right.
I mean, and for a chef, it really gets your mind like all of a sudden like clicking what I could pair with this.
Yeah.
It's really weird how that happens. And so, I mean, if it can happen to me, it can happen to, the common man that comes into the restaurant.
That's the beauty is that a chef, not many chefs take on the wine responsibility.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're doing it just completely marries the entire concept of the food menu because so many people don't realize that how important wine is to a program.
Oh, my God.
Matt and I have sat in rooms studying wine, reading books, tasting, to understand that there's so much nuance, there's so much intellectual influence of wine into food to the level if you actually appreciated it and your chef got it and understood what you're doing, then it really would make your experience that much better. So it's amazing when a chef takes the initiative to understand the wine program.
It's difficult. When I lose a wine, it's really hard to let go of it. But there's always another one to take its place.
Yeah.
So I always feel good about that. But it is interesting the food thing and I always. When Ashley comes to me, she's like, "Let's chill it on the wine list. We've got plenty.
Right.
We're good right now.
We're running out of space.
We're good right now.
Well, you guys do have a Wine Spectator Grand Award of Excellence for the last 2 years.
And then somebody will come in and we'll have to kick one to the curb to bring that one on.
Yeah.
It's just because I just feel like it's like something that you need to turn somebody on to.
That's awesome.
I mean, wine is really cool.
Wine's amazing. And what even beyond like geeking out about wine and sitting in books, what people often don't realize and what I tell them all the time is, guys, wine is meant to be drank with food and it changes the wine and the wine changes the food. And I mean, I know that's basic, but we really forget that often.
I know it. And it's forgotten about. We had a wine guy come in the other, I won't say their name. He brought me this wine. I've never Grillo.
Yeah.
Grillo.
Yeah.
Well,
from Southern
in
Italy.
North Carolina, you're
Grillo.
You're Grillo.
Yeah, that's
Grillo.
why people call me Trujillo.
I was like
Max Trujillo. It's Grillo. I got you. It stumped you for a second. That was good.
No, I've never had it before.
Yeah. Grillo is,
and I was like,
a small little grape
why?
indigenous to Italy, correct?
Yeah,
Southern Italy.
Yeah, Southern Italy. And so something new that I learned about. Here we go. I've been doing the wine list for 15 years. I was like, you've never brought this in here. He's like, they have their little meetings and they get wines and they, the whole game, they bring them over. So Grillo, I was like, I got to put that on the menu just because of the name.
Right.
Yo, Grillo.
It's Grillo.
But
have some grill with Grillo.
We grill some food with this
But it was
Grillo.
really, really good.
Oh, it's awesome. But it's not for everyone, and you can do. Yeah, I had a Grillo on. It's Grillo, by the way, but I had it on. I had it on the menu. I think we actually put a Grillo on at Standard Foods, Matt. When you were consulting on the wine program, we had one by the glass for a little bit. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was funky.
It's really inexpensive.
Yeah.
It's got texture and body.
Yeah.
It's kind of more like an oak Chardonnay, if you will, in that it's not highly aromatic, but it's got really texturally rich things.
It has body. Yeah.
Great seafood wine, crisp. I mean,
yeah.
Anyways, I mean, so the wine thing. I mean, I'm constantly learning still. I mean, about the wine. It's ever. I mean,
any memorable like lifetime pairings that you've had in your restaurant with your food, or it's like the food and wine was just like the most harmonious thing you've ever had?
Klein Constantia.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that one.
Yeah. And that was one of the most memorable, when I first tasted that wine, pairing with foie gras, that I was just like,
that's an awesome pairing.
Man, no wonder Napoleon drank this wine.
Yes. That's exactly right. So people that don't know, Constantia is one of the oldest dessert wines in the world from South Africa. And at the time, actually, back when Napoleon was drinking it, it was considered the number one most elite wine in the world, even above Sauternes. So
that, I mean, that's something that will always kind of stick with me. And I have it on, I have a 1999 Klein Constantia in my office that I've yet to open, that I swear I'm going to open it for Christmas. And I can't do it.
Or how about just have the boys from the NC F&B over and we can all like eat and drink and talk about it. We can listen. Yeah, we can listen to the episode while we eat and drink.
And I'm just like, I'll always have that wine on the menu. So,
nice.
Yeah. All right, here's a question I have to ask, and I want this to always, Matt, remind me to always ask this question because it's a question I love asking chefs in general, and I don't ask it enough. Chef, what was the last time you ate at your restaurant?
Oh, gosh.
The fact that you don't have an answer is all I need to know. Is that most chefs don't eat at their own restaurants. What the heck, man?
Because the staff gets so scared.
I know, but F them.
Well, yeah.
Like,
no,
it's your place.
Yeah.
You should go and
it was probably
experience
for my daughter's birthday last year. Yeah, for Hannah's birthday last year, we were there. But yeah, I have, something.
And it feels really awkward for you, I imagine. And
I have to sit in a different chair so I don't see anything.
Yeah.
Or I'm listening to everybody, or I'm seeing this, or I mean, it's not a bad thing. That's a good question. Maybe I'll need to do that more.
The serving staff makes bets on which seat he'll actually sit at the table.
Yeah, there was a run there where I was coming in sort of every couple months. Yeah. And then that's a good question. I just
well, I think you kind of answered it because it's hard to relax in your own place because you feel like you are working.
It is a bit harder.
Feel like there's still like a calling to oversee things.
I have a new theory on like VIP tickets, which in your old school French chef. So do you ever use the acronym PPX at tables?
No.
Personne particulièrement extraordinaire. It's what the French say for VIP. I like to use that. I actually learned that from Wolfgang Puck, and it's because that way you're not saying the actual acronym VIP on the floor, and then people know that you're talking about a VIP.
Yeah.
If you just say, "Hey, table 51 PPX," that just means that take care of them.
Yeah. Yep.
But I have since erased that from my vernacular because I've come to know that whenever you tell somebody that this is a VIP ticket, it gets fucked up.
Good point.
It's like people just
they get nervous
they crumble under pressure. And the thing is if you have the right expectations for service, and here I'm on my soapbox, but if you do what you're supposed to do right, then everything is a VIP.
Yeah.
And if you just say, "Hey, Chef Schurr is in the restaurant right now," if you tell any young chef, Chef Daniel Schurr is in the restaurant, make sure that everything is flawless. They are going to have puckered buttholes and mess up every single time because they're thinking about what you're going to say rather than they just make the food the way they do every single time and just send it out. So I've told, and here's my free advice to everybody out there, stop VIPing people. Just make the food and don't make a big deal about anything.
That's a good point.
Because it should just always be right.
Be yourself.
What about instead of putting VIP, it's just like send extras, right? A little, maybe an extra glass of wine or an extra dessert.
Yeah.
What we like to say is crush them.
Right.
Yeah, crush them with some food.
Yep.
All right, speaking of crushing people with their food, we have one last treat for you guys. Not only do we drink the Kool-Aid, or the fair game in this case, but we also eat the thing. So this is our cake from our sponsor, Bestow Baked Goods.
Oh, wow.
And so every guest of ours gets a cake to share. And as you can see, they're quite impressive and delicious.
Yeah. That looks pretty.
My wife, in fact, she posted on Instagram about, again, we're true believers in the people that we sponsor or that sponsor us. So she went and got her father a cake from them because they do gluten-free as well.
Yeah,
and it was
cool.
pretty awesome. I don't know if you saw the pictures
I
on
did.
Instagram, but this is for you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Bestow
I appreciate
Baked Goods, which has their they're out in Fuca, Varina.
Yeah.
But they're soon to be opening in Holly Springs as well.
Nice.
The epicenter of the universe.
Yeah.
Good.
Chef, thank you so much for coming on in.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Giving us a perspective of fine dining in North Carolina.
Yeah. Thank you for doing it for so long, for being consistent. And it seems like you're going to your 70s, so you got at
That's
least
right,
15
man.
more years
That's right.
left. So you guys got chances to go. But go to Second Empire. You will eat and drink very merrily.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.